This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Here I am with Kamala, by the way, who I agreed to debate because I love to debate, and I'm a very good debater. I love to debate.
That's debatable. Okay.
If you open up TikTok right now, it's kind of all election all the time. Those are comedians, by the way, not the candidates, though they're on here too. Whatever flavor of election TikTok you want, you can find it.
It's very much pick your own poison.
That's Sapna Maheshwari, who covers TikTok for the New York Times.
There are Swifties and people maneuvering Taylor Swift lyrics to suit their candidate of choice.
Voting Donald Trump, baby.
There's a lot of Hamilton fans doing the same sort of thing.
Joe Biden is yielding his power and stepping away. Is that true? I wasn't aware that was something a person could do.
There's news outlets that you've actually heard of, news outlets that you've never heard of. There's the candidates themselves, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and Harris and Walz. And there's so many debate clips and so many conspiracy theories. So it really, really runs the gamut.
If you are looking for attention and are pretty good at impersonating a candidate, now is your moment.
Yo, J.D. Vance here. I wanted to pull over my F-250 and just sit here and rap with you about some stuff that's going on in the campaign.
I talked to one comedian in LA named Sam Wiles, and he looks a little bit like J.D. Vance, which he said he realized early on this summer. And he has been doing really dramatic impersonations of J.D. Vance with super over-the-top eyeliner.
Yeah, the eyeliner is really the thing.
You see it instantly when you look at him. And he's been working comedy for a long time. And he was really just sort of pleasantly shocked and surprised to see how quickly his following grew over the summer. He said that, he didn't really even see that many haters, and he just sort of skyrocketed.
Wiles has now got almost 60,000 followers and 2.6 million likes. In a time when traditional media is fractured or desperately searching for its next act, Sapna says TikTok represents a new way of looking at an election. One that's really appealing to a new audience. An audience made up of the exact demographic of voters both Trump and Harris are frantically chasing right now.
When people are sharing their opinions on TikTok, there's actually a lot of activity a lot of the time in the comment section. And people actually engage sometimes there, and they also use tools on TikTok to stitch videos, which means basically taking a snippet of what someone said and then remixing it with your own point of view and creating kind of a dialogue in a video.
Today on the show, this election will be CapCut, remixed, stitched, and danced to. But will all those likes translate to votes? I'm Lizzie O'Leary, and you're listening to What Next TBD, a show about technology, power, and how the future will be determined. Stick around. This episode is brought to you by Public.com. Did you know you can lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com? The Federal Reserve recently announced a big rate cut, and there could be more rate cuts this year and in 2025 as well. That's good news if you're looking to buy a home, but it might not be so good for the interest you earn on your cash. So if you want to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high yield and investment grade bonds, check out public.com. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up. And once you lock in your yield, you can earn regular interest payments even as rates decline. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com/whatnext. But remember, your yield is not locked in until you invest. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. As of September 26, 2024, the average annualized yield to worst across the bond account is greater than 6%. Yield to worst is not guaranteed, not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures/bond-account for more info. Have you heard about Doublenomics? It's okay if you haven't. It's extremely niche and practiced by Discover. Here's an example. Discover automatically doubles the cash back earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. That means with Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. In the election of 2020, there was a lot of speculation about TikTok's political power, especially for young voters. Back then, the app was on the rise, but it was still largely about performance, not politics. The last 4 years have changed that. TikTok is now a meaningful source of news and information. In fact, Sapna's gone so far as to call 2024 the TikTok election.
Since then, TikTok has just exploded. The average age of the user has gone into the 30s. There's 170 million people on the app. And you can see from like Israel, Gaza, right? There's a lot of people who are getting news and information from TikTok. And so you saw glimpses of this in the midterms, but this really feels like the first time that TikTok is how people, some number of people in America are experiencing this race.
I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting is that social media and an election, right? That's not new. And campaigns have been very tailored in how they use social media. I think of the Trump campaign in 2016 really figured out how to use Facebook to their advantage. But I think there is something distinct about TikTok that you have captured in your reporting about the type of political discourse or the way people approach political news right now. Like, what makes it distinct, do you think?
And a lot of it's really creative. It's really meme-driven. I mean, very visual. I'm glad you got that sense from it, from this piece, because this is kind of the challenge of covering this platform it's so different from Twitter or from Instagram where you have static imagery because of the movement involved with TikTok. And so I think there's this energy around kind of humor, music, memes, really just short snippets that make TikTok very different. I mean, a lot of the videos too, I mean, they're short. So, you could have a video get millions of views and it's just one line that Trump or Harris said. Could be taken totally out of context. And that could be something that just travels to tons of people and, reinforces what they already think or maybe makes them think differently about one of these candidates.
Do you think it's fair to say it's fun?
Definitely, even though my brain feels a little atrophied.
We know what that feels like on the app, right? We know the kind of cycles within an app that it creates, right? Like there's the original TikTok and then the Stitch TikTok and then like the meme that references the meme. How does that translate IRL? Like, does anybody come away from a TikTok saying, oh yeah, you know what? I am going to go vote now.
I do think that it is shaping what people think about these candidates. And it's another way that they're reinforcing what they already believe, which I think we see pretty regularly on Facebook and Instagram, right? Like this person who I admire, or this person I follow, or this person I just see on the app is dancing to something this guy said. Like, can you believe he said that? Or can you believe she said that? Or, look at, I saw some of the debate, and maybe they say they saw some of the debate, but maybe they actually saw a bunch of debate clips on TikTok, and that informed their point of view. I do think that it is, contributing to what people think, shaping their views, and we will see real world effects of it.
You mentioned that TikTok's users are becoming slightly older. And kind of one of the big stories in every election I've covered going back to 2004 has been the youth vote. Whether young people vote, whether they do or they don't, whether certain things drive their turnout. When you reported this story, did you have any sense that engagement on TikTok correlated to younger voters wanting to vote?
There was a woman I talked to who is in her 20s, and this is her first, big presidential election that she's voting in. And she made up a dance to this song, which is made out of J.D. Vance saying, "I'm a never Trump guy." And these producers made this remix song out of it. It was very catchy.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy.
And she said that, this isn't the only thing she's doing. She wanted to make it clear that she was going to be canvassing. She was going to urge her friends to vote and volunteer with local efforts in her area. And I thought that was worthwhile. I mean, definitely worth pointing out that it seems like for many of the people doing this kind of work on TikTok, it's not just entirely for attention and for entertainment. It is a way for them to express their point of view in the popular medium of our time, and for, her generation in particular.
How are the campaigns using the platform? What do they get out of this?
So political advertising is actually banned on TikTok, which is kind of a weird and interesting conundrum. It means they don't have to really disclose the ads on the platform the way Meta does, in a way that you can kind of easily search. But that also means in order for these candidates to get their message out on TikTok, they have to do it organically, which means they have to make their own accounts and try and make videos that people will share and look at and that, crack the algorithm. So they're sort of being forced to play the same game as all of us. Unlike YouTube, where every time I open YouTube now, I see an ad from a candidate.
Right, like a slickly produced political ad.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that's done is, it's made them kind of, speak the language of TikTok. And I think a lot's been made of the Kamala HQ account and its use of clever songs and memes and catchphrases, like very demure, very mindful. It seems to speak the language. But the Trump campaign is doing something similar. They are, doing the equivalent of get ready with me videos by bringing you into the Trump campaign office and pulling like the right snippets and throwing music behind various things, having influencers film clips with Trump.
Welcome to the notorious Trump Force One, where even the coffee cups are branded Goodbye West Palm, and it is rally day in Erie, Pennsylvania.
So you're seeing the candidates speak this language, and it's been pretty fascinating to see. I mean, we do see this, I think, in every election, that campaigns figure out, how to speak the language of Twitter or Facebook or whatever the case may be. But, in this case, it struck me as someone covering TikTok that this is an app that both parties have come together to try and ban. But they also recognize its power. And so it says something, that they didn't sort of stick to that. Like, they're on it and they're trying to win hearts there.
That's one of the things that is absolutely the wildest to me. Like, oh, here you guys are embracing the power of this app that you have tried to ban, or in the case of the Biden administration, like, you're in court with them right now. Like, that dissonance is so striking. Is anybody but us reporters pointing that out?
Well, TikTok pointed it out in its legal filings, challenging the law. They said, how much of a security threat can this be? The people running for president are on this thing. And, they have a good point. What the campaigns will tell me is that they use burner phones and separate accounts.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they say.
When we come back, if a lie has got a beat and you can dance to it, it's still going to travel all around the internet. Innovation is important to the future of many businesses, and processes need to be clear, fast, and ultimately more productive. Take a big step to solving these problems with the Innovation Workspace from Miro. The Innovation Workspace comes loaded with AI-enabled tools to help teams get from idea to output faster. Miro's Innovation Workspace will help your teams accelerate through the full innovation development cycle, helping them to be faster, more productive, and ultimately more effective. Its new AI-powered tools and features can visualize tasks ahead, condense documents to produce summaries in seconds, and even create complex diagrams and flowcharts using natural language. It's designed to complement and sync with existing apps and platforms you use every day, like Jira and Azure, so everything operates smoothly and easily, and everyone's on the same page to rapidly innovate, iterate, develop, and ship. Whether you work in innovation, product design, engineering, UX, Agile, or IT, bring your team to Miro's revolutionary Innovation Workspace and be faster from idea to outcome. Go to Miro.com to find out how. That's MIRO.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states and situations.
What do Mattel, Banana Republic, ButcherBox, and Glossier all have in common? They power their businesses with Shopify. Shopify is the most innovative and scaled commerce platform on the planet that also happens to have the best converting checkout on the planet. And that's no industry secret. That's Shopify. Learn more at shopify.com/enterprise.
Let's talk about not just the content, but the misinformation question. Is there any way to kind of parse out what content is memes, what's misinformation, or is the kind of misinformation, disinformation universe something that seems less of a thing on TikTok and more on X and the various meta platforms?
No, I think it's out there, and it's not easy to parse what's misinformation from facts on TikTok. And I think a good example of this is probably the Daily Mail's account. So the Daily Mail has gone all in on TikTok. They told me that they have 20 people working on short form video at the company, just trying to crack algorithms, whether it's Instagram Reels or TikTok. And it's been working for them. They have millions of followers. They've gotten tons of views on what they're producing.
Most of the time, they're posting snippets of the debates or moments on the campaign trail, or things like this viral post of President Obama losing himself at a Harris rally with Eminem.
I gotta say, I have done a lot of rallies, so I don't usually get nervous. But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. I noticed my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
But, they're, in addition to little snippets of debates or things like that, like they'll have a video of Kamala Harris with P. Diddy from a long time ago and sort of let the viewer take it from there. Or they'll draw up a conspiracy theory tied to the assassination attempt of Trump this summer, and just kind of throw it out there. And it's like 8 seconds, tons of people look at it, and then it's on to the next video. And that's coming from an outlet we know and have heard of. And so you just kind of extrapolate everything else out there. TikTok is really good at figuring out what to send you next if you show an interest in something. And so there's plenty of rabbit holes that I haven't gone down, but are certainly out there. And so I think that piece of it, we, may not know about for a long time. Like some of these rabbit holes and conspiracy theory holes just kind of remain underground until something happens like terrifyingly in the real world, like a Pizzagate.
Do we know what ByteDance thinks about that aspect? Whether they're trying to ferret this stuff out or whether they don't care?
TikTok and ByteDance have not said a whole lot about how they weigh in on news. We know that they don't really have the same kind of news partnerships that Facebook tried in the past, right? With kind of deals with the New York Times and NPR and all of those. But the company, like other social platforms, has said we check things that have been flagged. They have the same kind of moderators, and they're trying to debunk what they can and send stuff to professional fact checkers. But we've seen those efforts and how they play out on other platforms. And I mean, it's such a fire hose of information. It's really hard to manage.
At this point, other platforms have either seemingly given up the ghost in terms of checking things, or, in the case of Meta, particularly on Threads, they've basically said, like, we're not in the politics game anymore. We're not in the news game. We're trying to turn away from this, which makes me wonder why TikTok is embracing it so much.
Yeah, it's a good question, especially because the news and politics aspect of it all, I think, is what has increased the scrutiny on TikTok as a force in American culture. But, what's clear is they don't seem to be diminishing political content or news content. It seems, from talking to the Daily Mail and a couple of other outlets, like they've seen more interest in the kinds of stuff that they're producing, like news and politics related videos. So it seems like the company is just going for engagement, which is not that surprising. They see that there's a market for this, especially right now where we are in this current race, and they seem to just be rewarding what people are interested in.
Well, there's also another interesting wrinkle to that, right? If there's a lot of political speech on the platform, political speech is one of the most protected kinds of speech. When you think about the First Amendment, I would imagine that does not exactly escape the minds of TikTok executives as they are arguing in court, don't ban our app because it is free speech.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's absolutely one big flag that TikTok has raised in court. They've also pointed to plaintiffs who are expressing religious views on the app. So as far as TikTok has a First Amendment claim, and I think, they do have, a claim in court, that could work in their favor.
This may be a question that we can't answer now, and we're going to have to wait months or years after the election. But I sort of wonder what can be gleaned about our society or our election process, our politics, our attention span. That so much political discourse is happening on this platform right now. I wonder what it says.
I think it says that Americans will turn any platform into a news platform, no matter what a company wants. It just seems that no matter what the app is, we will find a way to express our political views, to talk about current events. And I think TikTok is just a great example of that, because when this thing was breaking out in 2020, I just don't know if people would have really envisioned what it looks like today and the way it is communicating news and becoming a place where people are talking about the election. And, it's really being done in the language of the app.
Sapna Maheshwari, as always, it's a delight to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Sapna Maheshwari is a reporter covering tech and emerging media for the New York Times. And that is it for our show today. What Next TBD is produced by Evan Campbell, Patrick Fort, and Shayna Roth. Our show is edited by Paige Osborne. Alicia Montgomery is vice president of audio for Slate, and TBD is part of the larger What Next family. And if you like what you heard today, the single best way to support us is to join Slate Plus. You get all your Slate podcasts ad-free, as well as exclusive bonus content like What Next's The Surge, which unpacks the craziest political news every week leading up to the election. All right, we will be back on Sunday with another episode, this time about online grave hunting. I'm Lizzie O'Leary. Thanks for listening.
I said to Roger, the last thing you are fair and balanced. That should have been my slogan.
When the Fox News Channel first went on the air, it promised to change television.
Few broadcasts take any chances these days, and most are very politically correct. Well, we're going to be different.
It's going to be kick-ass, and I want to be part of it.
I'm Josh Levine. In this season of Slow Burn, we'll look at the moment in the early 2000s when Fox News became a political and cultural force.
I'm okay with wearing an American flag. And if you're not, I think you need to examine who you are.
You'll hear from Fox insiders, many who've never spoken out before.
I was not told about that beforehand, for good reason. I wouldn't have gone along with it.
And you'll hear from the activists and comedians who tried to stop it.
He said, "You're being sued by Fox." I went, "Really? That's fabulous."
Slow Burn Season 10, The Rise of Fox News. Hear the entire season now, wherever you listen.